Video number 6, setting up your first webinar. Schedule a webinar. The webinar control panel will take you to the Schedule a Webinar section when you log in for the first time. The Schedule a Webinar section is where you are going to, as the name implies, schedule your webinars. The scheduling of a webinar is a step-by-step process that covers the setup of the name and description of your webinar, date and recurrence, the audio options during the broadcast, the questions and polls options, recording of the broadcast, and other customizing options. When you click on Schedule a Webinar, which as mentioned before is the default screen when you log in, these are the first options displayed. The Copy a Webinar list box will only be used when we have an already scheduled webinar from which we can copy a name, description, start and end times, audio and other stuff, so we can use them on recurring or similarly themed webinars. As you can see, there's the option to check a sample webinar with a name, description, dates, time zone, and languages defined. You can use this to give yourself an idea of how to schedule your webinars. When you have other webinars available, they will appear in this list box. The sample won't let us go beyond it. The platform will start asking for our webinar's title if we try to jump to any next steps, so we have to name our webinar. We are going to show you in detail how to get your webinar up and running from the ground up. Title and description. You can use a name with a character count of up to 128 characters, so be careful when naming your webinar. Be clear and think of something that would create the greatest impact. You can check social media or search for what's trending, even if you already have a theme. This way, you can have a clear idea of what is going to attract the most participants in relation to what they are looking for. You can do this by creating hype through baiting titles that look like questions or propositions that will be directly answered or addressed during the broadcast. For the purposes of this example, we will work with cake decorations. We can phrase our question as, which of these cake decoration themes is the hottest selling this season among parents? Next comes the description. You are going to provide the details about your webinar like date, time, subject, instructions, and other relevant info. This is what participants will see in their invitation emails and registration pages. The number of characters is limited to 2048. Date and time. In the Occurs list box, you have to choose how concurrent your webinar will be. Choose once if this is a one-time webinar, or daily, weekly, or monthly, if that's how your webinar will be scheduled for broadcast. For daily and weekly, you can choose your start and end times. For monthly, you have to choose the day of each month for which it will be broadcast. You can also choose a custom schedule and add the dates and times as you see fit. We strongly recommend setting up your webinars to last an hour, because when a webinar is scheduled for longer than an hour, participants can hesitate. Plan accordingly in advance. Next, you have to set up your webinar's time zone. This is important to clarify in your description because the time zone displayed for your webinar will be the one you set up, so participants from different time zones will need to be reminded about it. The last option we'll need to set up is language, so make your selection based on the language in which you'll be presenting. Now, we check that everything's in good order and hit schedule. You can review your schedule here and edit it if needed. In the next screen, you'll see the rest of the settings that you will need to set up, which is done by clicking the Edit button on the right. Audio. In the audio section, you have the option to use GoToWebinar's built-in audio platform or use a conference call service platform of your choice. If you choose your own conference call service, you will have to provide the phone numbers of the attendees, the organizers, and the panelists, and you'll be limited by the tools available through your conference call service platform. That's why we recommend to go with GoToWebinar's own audio system. They will provide you and your attendees with a platform to connect, send, and receive audio data, and it will give your participants the means to obtain an audio recording of the webinar when it's over. The built-in audio system gives you the options of letting your participants connect through their computer audio system by using their speakers and microphone, and to connect through a telephone line. You can uncheck any of the two according to how you prefer that your attendees connect to your broadcast. But connecting through their computer audio system is the best way to let them wholly participate and interact with you during the broadcast. We recommend you keep both options checked because it may happen that, while most of the participants will connect using their computers, there will be some others that are not going to have their computers available and will connect through their phones. Now that we have our audio options set, we can save them and continue with the other settings available in my webinar control panel.